It's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here today to share my favorite Quilt-As-You-Go placemats. I love making these placemats. They're fast and fun and easy to make. I'm currently making a set out of these fabrics that I'm going to use for this tutorial, but I've also made them for different holidays and have also just recently made some Christmas versions. So I'm going to show you everything you need to make these and walk you step by step through the process. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to show you what I use to make these placemats, and I'm giving you the amounts of materials that you need to make 2 placemats. So what you're going to need is 16 strips that are 2.5 inches by 14 inches. And I cut these from leftover jelly roll strips. So it's nice that you only need them 14 inches long so that you can use your scrap bin. And what I did is I used a variety of prints and colors. So you can see I have a couple different rose colored, the mustardy brown color, a lighter pink, green, blue, darker brown. So I just kind of used, as I did in this one, just a mix of colors. You could also do all of the same color, just different prints, or there's just so many different options you can do. Okay, you're going to need a 14 by 18 inch piece of batting or soft and stable. And this is soft and stable, and it's what I used for mine. I just really like the heavier weight that it gives to your placemats, and it does wash up beautifully. But you can also use batting for this project, but you'll need a 14 by 18 inch square or rectangle, and then you'll also need the same size rectangle of your backing. So you can see this is the fabric that I've used for my backing. Okay, and what I like to do first is put the batting and backing together, or soft and stable and backing together. And I really do like to take them over to the ironing board and just kind of iron them. It helps them adhere well. Okay, the first step that you're going to do is we're going to draw a line down the middle of the batting or backing. And so since this is 18 inches wide, we're going to draw the line at the 9-inch mark. And you can just use a regular pencil, or I just use my favorite fabric pencil, the Soline fabric pencil. And I'm just going to draw a straight line. So now this is the line that I'm going to use when I begin sewing to line everything up, so it's nice to have it right in the middle. The next thing I like to do is just kind of lay out my fabrics in the order that I think I might want them on the placemat. Just to give myself a general idea, and I will keep the dots away from each other and the stripes away from each other if possible. Okay, so once you get the layout that you like, you're going to take strips 4 and 5, the 2 strips that are in the center, and you're going to place one of them with the wrong side touching your batting or soft and stable, and with the right edge of it lined up right along that pencil line that you drew. So then you're going to take the strip that's going to go next to it, and you're going to place it on their right sides together. Okay, so now you've got your backing with the right side down, your batting or soft and stable with a line, and you've got your 2 center strips right sides together and lined up with their edges all along that line. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go over to your sewing machine and you're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam. I like to lengthen my stitch to about 3.5 so that it gives just a little bit softer of a look, so the stitches don't look too tightly placed together, so it just kind of lengthens them out a little bit. And you're going to sew that seam through all 4 layers. And there are a couple of options. I tried it both ways. You can use a walking foot. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to figure out the perfect 1/4 inch seam when you're using a walking foot, but it does make everything feed better. I did it both ways. I was able to sew them because of lengthening my stitch without the walking foot, and it worked just fine. So after you do that, you will have something that looks like this. So now I've got this other placemat and the seam has been sewn, and you can see that it goes all the way through to my backing. And then you're going to press that out. And then you're going to just kind of complete the process going in both directions. So I have a separate set of strips for this placemat. So I would then take a strip and I would sew the seam, press it, and keep adding strips until I get to the end of my section. And then I would also do it this way. And what I would do in that case is I would turn the placemat around and work on adding strips this way. And again, I will usually lay these out in the order that I want them before I sew, so that it just makes it easier for me to pick them up and grab them. Okay, I'm going to show you next what you do when you get all of the strips added to your placemat. Okay, so this is what it looks like after I sewed all 8 strips. You can see that I've got all my quilting lines on the back, so it really is a quilt as you go. But it looks really uneven, and that's okay because we're going to trim this down quite a bit. You can see that the finished placemat is smaller. So it doesn't matter if these edges are uneven or not matching up perfectly. What you're going to do is we're going to trim. And I like to trim to 12.5 inches by 18.5 inches. Now this should be really close to 18.5 inches wide. If it's not, it doesn't matter. It's a placemat. So just go with whatever your finished width is and trim up the sides. But for the top, I really like the 12.5 inch size, because that way, if I have a table runner on my table, the placemat isn't too big. But yet it's also big enough to hold my plate. So I'm just going to trim, cut there. So I've got a really nice straight top. And then at that point, I'm just going to do 12.5 inches. So I'm going to line this up on the 10-inch mark and go to 22.5. And this is a placemat, so I will kind of use the lines on the ruler, on the mat for my measurement, because it doesn't matter as much for something like this. Okay, so and I'm just going to throw that away. And then a lot of times you will need to trim up the 2 sides as well. And okay, so I've got it trimmed and it is ready for the binding. I made my binding already. You need 3 strips of binding. We'll make 2 placemats. So since I'm making a set of 4, I did 6 strips of 2 1/4 by 42-inch wide fabric, and I had my binding all ready to go. And then you'll just bind this like you would a quilt, and And that's really all there is to it. These are really fun to make. Like I mentioned before, they wash up really well. They're already quilted by the time you're done sewing the strips together, and they'll be perfect to brighten your table or to give as a gift. So there you go. That's how you make a simple quilt-as-you-go strip-pieced placemat. I hope you'll enjoy making some placemats using this tutorial. I know I have been making quite a few of them for my own home, and they would also make great gifts. I think it'd be really cute if you rolled up a couple together and tied a ribbon around it. You could even give a matching pot holder with it, or a table runner. Just so many options. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you'd share it with your friends and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.